Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is How to Get Away with Murder, Season 4, Episode 10. And the name of this episode is Everything We Did Was for Nothing. And this was a really good episode. So, let me begin. We actually see in the beginning of the episode, Laurel is still having, nightmares about being in the elevator. She's thinking about her father, thinking about Wes. So she's been having this nightmare. And when she wakes up, she actually sees that on the news, Antares has gone public, her father's company. We see that Oliver and Connor's watching it on his laptop. Oliver is watching it on his laptop. Connor's trying to get romantic with him, and he just blows him off and turns back on the because he shut down the laptop. He opens it back up, and we just see that Oliver is in this state where he's just distraught, and he pretty much says that we did all of this for nothing. So it's like he just completely blew off Connor. And normally when Connor be trying to throw that meat, Oliver don't ever turn it down. But this time he did. So we already know something's up, especially with Oliver. Because I think with the whole situation with Simon getting shot in all of this, it's made him feel some kind of way. So then we actually see Michaela and Asher are talking. She's sent a text to Tegan about, the IPO and all of that, but Tegan hasn't responded back to her. And he's telling her, like, look, you can't text her, no more texting. But she said that, I actually, congratulated her about Antares going public, but she hasn't reached back to me. And then all of a sudden, he gets a call and she's like, who's that? It's like, it's Annalise. So then we also see, we pretty much see that Bonnie has a run-in with Denver, and he's pretty much talking about, Asher. She talks about Asher, and pretty much he said that why did you protect Asher? Because why were you involving yourself in this? And she tells him that, look, he knows about you framing Annalise saying that she killed Wes. So I pretty much was there to help dissolve the situation where you were no longer that you weren't that your name didn't come up in the situation. So that's why I took it upon myself to help Asher to kind of protect you. And she's like, "You're welcome." And he just kind of walked off, saying like, "You need to leave all of them alone. Her and Annalise, stay away from them." So now we see that Laurel is in the hospital with Annalise and Frank, and they're talking about, a custody hearing and everything, because due to the fact that her father has filed the fact that she's unstable and all of that, but then not only that, they found the gun in her bag, once they took her up. So she's pretty much now is being confined to the hospital until the custody hearing, and also the baby has been put in her father's custody. And then, like, they talk about, so then afterwards, they actually have so we see afterwards, Annalise and Frank talk, and he's saying that we should let her hear the voicemail, because, he still has Dominic's phone. And she's like, no, we're not going to do that. It's like, yeah, maybe we can try to figure out how Dominic and Wes knew each other, And then all of a sudden we see that Michaela shows up, and she tells her, I want you to, spend time with Laurel or whatever. And he's like, and she's, of course, like wondering what the hell's going on. And we see that the phone is ringing, and he pretty much says that Laurel needs you. You need to go. And then Annalise and Frank have a conversation, and she pretty much tells him, destroy everything. Because now that phone is probably ringing because it's probably her dad looking for Dominic, and it can definitely lead back to us. So you need to destroy it. Destroy everything. So pretty much we actually see next Annalise goes to talk to Nate, involving Laurel's case. He pretty much says that, look, there was no hard drive that was turned in. It was never in evidence, so we don't know where the hard drive is. But then she's saying that, look, I'm actually trying to help a mother reunite with her child. And she says, well, what about the other cases where parents are trying to get close, get back with their children? Did you help them the same way? So I'm like, maybe we going back and forth with Annalise, but we can definitely tell, he still cares about her, and she does still care about him. But, due to the fact of his position, he has to play a level head. So then we actually see that, pretty much she got the Keating crew together. Well, Michaela and Laurel at the hospital. So she got the rest of the guys, Asher, Connor, and Oliver, to look through all of these class action cases to find some cases that they can. That they can actually try and to make a part of the, because all these cases were tried by court-appointed attorneys, and some of them just got railroaded and got thrown in jail because there wasn't enough evidence presented during their trial. So they're pretty much going through all this stuff, and all of a sudden we see Oliver is in his feelings. And he was saying, well, is this, so what is it? We're just supposed to distract ourselves to act like Simon is not in the hospital and that, all of this didn't go down. She's like, look, we are caring about that, but right now we need to keep something to take our minds off of things. And she's like, oh, yeah, like doing, and he was like, so pretty much, Oliver's like, oh, so it means doing what you want us to do. Annalise went back and said that you went into that burning building with Laurel and you didn't tell me about it. Now I'm here cleaning up your mess. Do you really want to make me an enemy right now? And I was like, you better get his ass, Annalise, because Olive Oil definitely has those moments where he get really runny, and I personally be wanting to slap the shit out of Oliver sometimes because he gets real slick with shit. And he kind of sometimes comes off like he's this very nice and genuine person, and he is most of the time. But then he gets these moments where he just starts acting real funny, and he just starts acting, real bitchy and all up in his feelings. I'm like, bruh, you're part of the reason why Simon went down the way he did, because you agree with this plan and you agree with everything that Laurel did, and y'all all followed her y'all all followed her plan. So all this shit would have never happened because Annalise would have told you guys not to do this shit. But Laurel, as we always see, Laurel is that bitch who thinks she's always right, and she's always throwing herself into something, even if it means it could damage everybody else. So then we see that Annalise goes to get on her elevator at her place. And we see that she's having flashbacks of, her saving the baby, Laurel literally bleeding, having a premature birth on the elevator. And then all of a sudden, we see Connor runs into her and pretty much says, like, look, lay off on Oliver, he's going through a rough time and all that. And she says, I wasn't rough on Oliver. I just told him exactly what he needed to hear. And that's it. And but then he's like, but look, Oliver's going through a hard time, and we need to be very sensitive with him. She's like, and then Annalise cut him off. She was like, he doesn't need you to baby him. That's the one thing that you never get about Oliver. He don't need that. And the funny thing about it is she said that it really played back to what Connor's father said, that Oliver's a good guy, but he's just not the right guy for you. So I'm beginning to see that their relationship is starting to hit a rough patch. The question is, will they actually break out of it? Because it seemed to me in this whole situation, and we saw this throughout the whole episode, Oliver is more focused on Simon's well-being than he is about them and everybody else. So he's pretty much like, because of what we did, an innocent man got hurt, and we were gonna frame him. So now he's like, I gotta be there for Simon because Simon doesn't have anybody, and he knows that Simon, pretty much is here, that he came here illegally, that he's actually an immigrant, and he doesn't have any family or anyone around. So of course Oliver feels some kind of way about that. So we see that Frank actually does what Annalise says, allegedly. He did destroy the body and all of that, but he still kept Dominic's phone, and that phone is still ringing, but he's not answering. Then we see that Michaela and Laura at the hospital. She still see that Tegan hasn't texted her. And then Laurel, again, wants to do something because she just can't sit her ass down. And Michaela was like, look, let Annalise fix things. Then, Annalise got this. Let's trust her. But she's saying that, look, I've researched, my mom's case, and I remember the lawyer said that there was this, that I think I might have a way where I can get custody of my baby, and, my mother, pretty much was diagnosed with mental illness, and she filed an injunction against my dad, which actually gave her custody. So, so pretty much, with this whole situation, she's saying, okay, I need to find my mom's case and do some research. Maybe I can use the same thing to get me out of here, because she's being confined to the hospital. She can't leave, and, she definitely still needs to be evaluated to see whether she's stable enough to go home. So the hospital is not letting her out. So due to the fact that she got cabin fever, she's like, I'm going to find my own way to get out of here. And at first, Michaela wasn't going to give up the phone, but she ends up giving it up. So I'm like, see, that's the thing. Laurel has something where she can manipulate their asses, and they always give in to her. So we see that Annalise goes to West's apartment. We definitely see all the memories are flashing back about Wes and all of that. She goes through try to find some information. She does find information about Laurel's dad, and she takes that. And then she also sees baby clothes. So definitely, all these things are triggering her because she's experienced the loss of a child. She's experienced the loss of Wes, who was like a son to her, and it's like, and then on top of it, she's in West's apartment because Laurel moved into the apartment he had. And we're just seeing that she's just completely shooken up by all of this, but it's driving her at the same time. So then we see that Bonnie and Nate run into each other at the courthouse. She's asking issues about Ash's case or whatever, and he was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell you any more about that because, obviously this, because obviously you're still suffering from, being on the Annalise crack. So I'm not going to involve anything else. So I'm not going to, involve you in anything else. And then she starts asking more questions. She's like, see, that's my point. You just can't let it go. You're addicted to Annalise, and you want to know everything that's going on. And, if Denver told you to back the fuck off, that's what you need to do. Well, because, Bonnie ain't going to take that line down. So then we go back to the house, with Connor, Oliver, and Asher. Connor and Asher are looking through these cases. Damn, Oliver ain't even doing no work. He done hacked the damn hospitals, medical records, and he's checking up on the status of Simon. Now it's making me think: are you developing feelings for Simon, Oliver? Because I kind of got that in this episode. Because next thing you know, next thing you know, we see Oliver just leaves. Because after a while, they disappear and they come back. Oliver's gone, Oliver's ass then went to the damn hospital and then lied and said that he was his boyfriend and he's out of the closet and he doesn't have any family, so he lied to get in. And I'm just like, you bitch. I was like, wow. So he pretty much told the guy that, I'm his boyfriend, but he's not out of the closet and he doesn't have any family, and it would mean a lot for me to see him. Because they told him at first, like, only families allowed back there. But he played that story, and then he let him back there. So he's sitting there with Simon, and I'm beginning to think that Oliver's developing feelings for him. I mean, yeah, he feels guilty that he was a part of the plan, but then it all comes. I think it's all starting to come out that he really does, like Simon. So then we go back to Laurel and Michaela. Annalise shows up and she pretty much tells her, like, what about the Protective Abuse Act? And Annalise said, I already filed that. They turned it down, so there's no means of us doing that. But Michaela knows that she's not telling the truth, so when Annalise leaves, Michaela corners her like, you're lying about that petition. That's not true. So why would you lie like that? Why would you tell her that you filed it and you didn't? And she lets her know. She brought a gun to that party, and the gun was found in her bag when she was in the elevator. So this just leads to more dead ends, and it also shows that she wasn't. This kind of will add to the fact that she wasn't unstable, because what the hell is a pregnant woman doing with a gun out in public? And then Michaela's like, well, that's all you had to say. I'm like, you don't take your stupid ass on, you simple bitch. She don't tell y'all every damn thing because y'all always fucking up. Hell, the reason why none of you motherfuckers went to jail is because of Annalise, but yet y'all always bitch and complain about her, that Annalise has ruined our lives, Annalise has done this, Annalise has done that. Annalise has constantly put her neck on the line for y'all when she should let your asses rot. Anyway, we pretty much see that Frank goes to talk to Bonnie. Bonnie gives no fucks about Frank. She's pretty much like, get the hell out of here. I really don't give a damn about you or what you have to say. And, but then he kind of lets her know that, look, Denver works for Ontaris and you work for Denver. You could actually, you pretty much have access to a lot more than you realize. But then, so he pretty much says, oh, so you're here for Annalise, huh? It's funny, Wes is dead and you just fit right into that hole as being like her new son. And then she's saying that, look, but I'm also here, for Laura. It's like, oh, the woman that you were sleeping with when I was up in here working my ass off to keep a roof over your damn head. And then she was like, you know what? I should have let you pull that trigger. Because, when Annalise really was going after him after, when she finally confronted him after she found out that he was behind the setup that, when she got into that accident and she lost the baby. And she was taunting him to make him kill himself, but then Bonnie was the one that was pleading and crying, telling them, don't do it. And he's saying that, look, she's like, I should have let you pull that trigger because you ain't shit. Here it is, you want me to help this bitch, the bitch that you were sleeping with behind my back. And, also, and then pretty much saying that, and then on top of it, while I was up in here working my ass off to support you, you were screwing her. And you want me to help her. She's like, well, it's not about me, it's about the baby. And then he's like, you can't hate me forever. So I was like, Frank, you kind of really did kind of fuck up with Bonnie, because Bonnie did a hell of a lot of shit to him, and yet he still went to Laurel. So before Oliver leaves, we actually see that Connor talks about this case. This guy named Jane Walker's, and that they said that he was that he was convicted, but far as the look of it, we don't know if he actually did the crime. But then Oliver brings up that but he beat up the bailiff in court, so it really doesn't look well for him, because he obviously has violent tendencies, so he probably did do whatever he was accused of. Then we see that Nate shows up, and he's there to. So pretty much he sees that they're actually working on the class action, so he's like, oh, so she got you guys going through all this crap now. So they go, but he's there to talk to Asher, and he says that, look, it's been word that you and Drake got into it at the party, so it looks like you probably did shoot him maliciously since your hands was on the gun. And we kind of see how Drake was antagonizing him about hanging like his dad and everything like that, and Asher was about to beat his ass, and so they pretty much find out that's going on. But then once they come back into the room, that's when they saw that Oliver had left, and as I said before, he's at the hospital checking up on Simon, and he lied and said that he was Simon's boyfriend. But I'm like, does this mean this is going to be a setup for some shit? Well, we guess we have to find out. But we see that Simon's in a coma, and he's pretty much recuperating. But we see that Oliver is struck with so much guilt that it's eating away at him. Oh yes, then we also get a scene with Frank and Annalise. They get back together, and she's mad as hell when she finds out he still got Dominic's phone. But then, pretty much, he's saying that, look, we need to kind of figure out how is it that Wes knew Dominic. And she's like, no, Wes didn't know Dominic. Christoph knew Dominic, because he did say his name was Christoph in the message. Question is, how did he know him, and what was their connection? I think in time we're going to find that out. But then he's saying that, and then he's saying we should play Laura the voicemail, and Annalise keeps saying, no, we're not going to do that. You're not even supposed to have the damn phone. But then while they're talking, he pretty much says that, obviously this goes deep because, Denver is actually working with Laurel's dad. So it's like more and more they're kind of connecting the dots to see that this thing is really huge, and that even her father even got the DA on his payroll. But then in this situation, he was saying that, look, we kind of reached a dead end, as far as getting to DA and to all this information, because Bonnie works for Denver, so we need Bonnie on our team. And she was like, look, Bonnie already fucked up enough. I don't want Bonnie near me. Bonnie tried to sabotage my case, and Frank was like, yeah, and you fired her by giving her a letter. Bonnie just wants an apology, so won't you go to Bonnie's and make it right, because she can actually help us on this case and also help us with Laurel. So we see that Annalise and Bonnie do have a conversation. All the time we're thinking that Bonnie was in love with Annalise. She says, no, what we have is more chaotic than any marriage or relationship or friendship or anything. I'm not in love with you. But they do share a commonality. They were both abused girls. They were both they were kind of both put in situations where they had to, fight for their own sanity. And I think that was one thing that drew them. But then Bonnie was like, I just think the reason why, you could have just apologized, and that would have been good. But here it is. You sucked me into your world, and now I'm just as screwed up as ever before. Maybe I would have been more happy of being a waitress. Because, their main thing was like, won't you just, let's just talk. Let's just get it all out in the open. Let's just be adults and just say what needs to be said. But then she actually does say, I do apologize for following you and making you feel alone. And, and then she's talking about, she's trying to help Laurel get back the custody of her kid. And she's like, why are you helping these kids? Why do you always help them? Like, what is it? And she's pretty much saying that, look, I'm going through a lot of pain and I need to just let it go. And we actually see in this scene that they have struck a commonality. There's still some tension there, but at least they are now at a place where they can talk and talk openly with each other. So it's just the relationship has changed. So we see that Connor is at Simon's bed, and Connor and Ashley come in, and Connor's like, look, it's time for us to go. And he's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And besides, visiting hours aren't over. So Ashley says, okay, I'll stay here with you. I'll stay here with him, and Connor, you can go on. So Ashley pretty much says that, look, once I had that situation with Sinclair, it just racked my brain, and I was like, well, in public, Asher, like, we know you killed her, but he says that, look, after that situation, I was an emotional wreck. But what I did is that I just focused on other things, sex, work, something. It keeps you in a space where you can just, you can kind of you can get through things better instead of being so emotionally off guard. Because, as I said, that's why I call Oliver Olive Oil, because his emotions are very runny. So, because he's emotional, he's like, I'm going to the hospital and I'm going to stay to the, I'm going to stay to the end of business hours and all of that. And he's trying to let him know that, look, you need something to focus on, something that'll keep you going, instead of you completely shutting down. So we actually saw that, Asher did the right thing by being there for Oliver, because Oliver does need someone to support him at this point. And he already knows that Connor don't give a shit, because Connor and Simon didn't like each other anyway. But the thing is, Asher didn't like him either, far more so. But then again, he was there for Oliver, so I thought that was pretty cool. So then we see that Michaela and Laurel talk, and she was saying that one of the main things that they're questioning is why did she have a premature birth? What caused that to happen? After all this situation that she's been attached to, her having the baby on the elevator, her having a gun and all that, they're kind of wondering, did she trigger herself from, did she trigger something did she put herself at risk, and that's the reason why she had a premature labor. But we all know, for those who saw the winter finale, what caused her to have a premature birth was the fact that when she was trying to break up Frank and Connor from fighting, he elbowed Laurel in the stomach, and she said that that's what caused it. And Michaela was like, well, how'd you know that? She said, I felt it. So she knew that's what caused her to have a premature birth, because Frank accidentally hit her in the stomach, but she tells Michaela, do not say nothing, to Frank, because this is that will crush him. It will devastate him. So then we actually see that Bonnie goes to Denver, and she pretty much says that, look, Simon Drake had on his, pretty much, I think what ends up happening is that Bonnie had the fucking hard drive. So she pretty much says that Simon Drake on his computer, had all this information about a Taurus and all of these different, all of this information. I had it destroyed, and you were affiliated with it, and your name was attached. So what I did is that I had it all destroyed, and I scrubbed his computer, and he's like, well, why did you do all of this? She said, because I wanted to keep my job. We come to find out, her ass recorded the damn conversation. So Bonnie is now back on Annalise's team, and she's now trying to help her get to the bottom of this shit. So I was like, okay, that was interesting. Then we actually see Nate goes to talk to Tegan, and he asks us about, was there a fight, and do you think that Drake would have shot himself? And she said, it looks like it's a possibility. I mean, as far as what everything happened. But then he brings up Atara's going public and all that. She says that, yeah, but due to the fact that we affirm, we do have attorney privilege, meaning we don't have to speak to the investigators if we so choose not to. But then we kind of saw a glimpse between Tegan and Nate. Even though Tegan's a lesbian, Nate kind of noticed, I could be completely wrong, but I kind of noticed that. So pretty much we see that the rest of them come to visit Laurel at the hospital. So pretty much all the Keating 4 is there, along with Oliver. And Laurel is apologetic, saying that I'm so sorry about all of this. I'm sorry I got you all involved in this, but I really just want to fix this. And, I'm just so sorry that all of this has happened. So we see that going on. Next, we see Annalise goes to see Dr. Isaac. He gives no fucks about Annalise at this point, because we saw the last time he talked about you driving me crazy, and that's what probably made your daughter kill herself. So they going back and forth, and he was saying that, you know what, I'm getting tired of you dragging me in your bullshit. I'm getting tired of I'm trying to get you to work on yourself, but you're not doing that because you're always throwing yourself into somebody else's shit. And pretty much she said that, look, I forgave you for what you did and she's like, well, I forgave you what you did with Jacqueline. Why can't you forgive me about what happened down with us? And he's just like, well, the difference between you and me, I know I'm screwed up. That's why I help people as much as I do. But you don't want to admit to this. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying? Why do you care about, Laurel and this baby? Like, why do you want me to, to do an evaluation on her? Like, what is this to you? And she says that it's not about her. It's helping me. It's helping me. And we see that she breaks down, and she finally takes that wall down. And Isaac is kind of drawn into her even more. I think Isaac really likes her, though. But, he actually agrees to do the evaluation on Laurel. And then, they actually release her. But then also, back, Connor is still doing work on the class action case. They find this picture of this guy who for 30 years he's been in prison, and he's been in solitary confinement. And he pretty much, they said that he got railroaded because he was a black man, and because he was a black man of color and he didn't have good legal representation, he got thrown to the wolves. And we come to find out the man's name is Nate Leahy. So the question is this Nate's biological father, or did Nate take this guy's identity? I think in time we'll find that out. But we see that the guy who's going to play this other Nate Leahy is Glenn Turman, who's a phenomenal veteran actor. Love him. So then we see Michaela finds Tegan. Tegan knows that shit ain't right. So all of a sudden she comes in, she's like, you haven't responded to my text. I know, things look good right now, but I just wanted to check on you to see. And she's like, oh, you scared, huh? You should be. And she said that, look, do you realize how many security breaches, that happen? And due to the fact that my name's on the line, nobody is safe right now. So she pretty much says that don't call me, don't text me, and don't ambush me ever again. Because she's saying that you really don't know what the hell you did you? You really have no idea the danger you put yourself in, as well as everybody else. Because she kind of said that, look, you ought to be scared because not only am I in danger, so are you. So She pretty much said, that's why I haven't been in touch with you, because I'm trying to keep you safe. Because I'm being watched and so are you. So we see that now that Laurel's home, you know, next thing you know, we hear that damn phone go off, and he still got Dominic's phone, and she's saying that, you know, but then, you know, Annalise is kind of telling, like, you know, pretty much play the message or whatever. And the phone goes off, and she sees the number, and he's like, don't answer it, don't answer it, it could be your father, don't answer it. And like both Annalise and Frank is telling her don't answer the phone, but Laurel, being the simple-minded bitch she is, decides to answer the phone. She's like, no, I'm going to answer it. She's like, don't answer it, it's your father, probably look for Dominic. She's like, it's not my father. Hi, Mom. So now her mother is going to be involved, and we're going to see this next week. So I definitely look forward to seeing what's going to go down. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them listed down there in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of How to Get Away with Murder. So until then, everybody, take care.